Travelers Rest Council meeting for Monday, February the 6th, 2023. Appreciate everyone being here today. Kelly will be a few minutes late, so if nobody objects, we might move her committee around just a little bit. But first, we have no citizen participation tonight. We appreciate our staff for being here. And we'll start with our Public Works Committee. Chair Chris.
Okay, thank you so much. And part of this committee is Council members Lisa Lane and Sherry Mara. So first, is there a motion to approve the January 9th Public Works minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, thank you so much. We can look over the Public Works report. Director Tate, is there anything that you'd like to point out?
The only thing I would like to point out is we do have the sanitation services out for RFP, and we are getting some good response back. We've actually got one back for recycle only, so we have some options there.
Oh, that is very encouraging to hear. Also, I just want to say thank you for everything you and your team that you do, because I was looking through the report. I'm like, y'all are doing a lot of stuff. I also like that you're doing the preventative work, and I like how the report is broken down in that way. That's very helpful to show that we are being active as a city and thinking about ways to prevent that. And it seemed like the MLK trash pickup was a success.
A huge success. The numbers are in there. I think we had 60 some odd volunteers out. Picked up 67 or 70 bags, something of litter. We got a good bit off the roadside. The month of February, we're already over 2,000 pounds for the month of February. So,
Wow.
Yep.
So thank you to everybody who volunteers to pick up trash. It makes our city beautiful, so thanks. From the committee members, any other questions or comments about the report?
I was excited to hear that we had some interest in the recycling. Just a little side note, I was going to ask, if we get someone to do recycling only, cost-wise, could we almost do like maybe every other week versus every week?
Definitely.
Like if that would be, I mean, I know our family has shrunk down smaller, but I've noticed they're not always full. So if we did like maybe every other, if that would help in cost effect.
That's definitely.
Yeah, I think that is, and the response that I got back actually today on recycles only, that was one of the questions that, instead of going to doing a weekly service, if we could go, to bi-weekly, because I think that's the pattern when you're only doing recycles, is collection every 2 weeks.
Okay. Any questions about the report or comments from council before we move on?
No, just very thankful for all the volunteers that came out and picked up trash on Martin Luther King Day. That was very exciting to see.
I just want to throw one other thing in there. Our partnership with Greenville, Keep Greenville County Beautiful, it's been tremendous. That's been a great asset for us, and we're looking at partnering, some later dates on in the spring. We've got maybe 50 volunteers lined up for Hands on Greenville. So that's all right. They're coordinating all that, and they will just send them to us.
Okay,
Great partnership there.
that's good to hear. Okay, the next thing we have on our agenda is to discuss the smoke-free air ordinance of 2023. So what we've done previously is we've gone through to see what type of ordinances and codes that we have and updated them systematically. And it was brought to my attention that we didn't have anything dealing with smoke-free air in Travelers Rest. So I want to bring it before council just to get everybody's viewpoints and thoughts about this. I want to point out a few things in this ordinance, then bring it to the committee and then the council so we can have a good discussion. So here, this does include smoking traditional cigarettes, also vaping. It does a good job of defining enclosed spaces where smoking can and cannot be. And it's focused on the workplace and also certain outdoor spaces. So 20 feet from an entrance or windows, 20 feet away from seating or serving areas of restaurants, and within 20 feet of ventilation systems and enclosed areas. It also lists places where smoking is not regulated. And so people, of course, would have the autonomy to do what they like in their private residence. It doesn't include bars or brew pubs or drinking places or retail tobacco stores or hotel and motel rooms, as long as it's under excuse me, a certain percentage. And then it asks that signs are posted and that if people do smoke in these areas that would be zoned for no smoking, it would be $25 per infraction for if it's in a business for the business owner, and then $25 for the individual if it's outside of a business or a park, or it might include that as well. So, and then it would be adopted 30 days from here. So I think a really important part is that we can make this better together. And so this is the first draft, and I'd love to hear people's viewpoints of things, their views in general and potential updates. So I'd like to open it up to the committee members.
The only question I have, I know I sent you some questions about if the violation fees would be accumulative, like if you get 5, then it's more. So I understand it's going to be always a flat rate. But my question is, like, for the police, how would we handle that? Say if it was like in a business, or if someone violated the ordinance. You see what I'm saying? Like, you're smoking, put it out down.
Okay. Chief Ford, do you mind coming forward? We had a conversation about this. I'd love for you to share your perspective of how this would impact the police department and Councilmember Maris.
My theory is we would treat it the same as we did the mask ordinance at the time. We would give warnings, verbal warnings, unless it was a repeat offender or a repeat business. And at that time, we could give written warnings up until the point to where the infractions continue, and we would give the citations for the $25. The way the mask ordinance went was people usually complied when we asked them to verbally, and it never even went any further. We never issued any citations for that. From my understanding, talking with the chief at Greenville City, they have a similar mask or similar smoke-free air ordinance, and that's how they enforce it. They're not proactive with it; they're reactive with it most of the time, unless it's a problem. And if it's a continuing problem, we can deal with that business. I would think that council would have the ability, if they want to continue on and on and on, allowing smoking inside their business, there are other ways we can address that, with their business license or with other things. I think that you can address it that way. Individuals, it would still be the same of $25. That's my theory on, I think, how it would work, and just talking to other couple cities.
And then I'd like you to share just with council our conversation about how much or little a burden this would be on the police department.
We hope it won't be. Maybe initially there may be a few calls when people are telling us, hey, somebody's smoking and they shouldn't be, you'll have a new ordinance. Obviously we'll respond to that, and like we do any time we're called. I don't anticipate it would be a great burden. The mask ordinance is what I kind of compare it to. Initially there were several calls, 2 or 3 calls a day maybe, and then it went to 1 call a week, and then maybe none for a month or 2. So that's kind of what we talked about. I don't anticipate it being a burden at this time. Now, that could change, and we could be getting called all the time. I don't anticipate that. From what I've learned from Greenville City, I don't anticipate that.
Okay, thank you so much. And if you could just stay there, because I know other people might have questions. As I'm looking at this more closely, one thing that already stands out to me, Section 5, Part D, when it says in or within 20 feet of any sidewalks, trailways, parks, ballparks, playgrounds, amphitheaters, and city-maintained parking areas. Part of me wants to take out the city-maintained parking areas so that if somebody would like to smoke, they have somewhere to smoke in those areas. So that's just one thought I had looking at it more closely. So I'd like to open it up to council for your feedback and thoughts.
Yeah, one of my concerns is what was brought up with the police. I mean, what if it becomes you're getting 5 or 6, 7 calls a day, and that could happen during an event? And that's my concern with that. And obviously, the government overreach. I kind of have a problem with telling somebody they can't smoke. When especially I've lived in Travelers Rest a long time, and I don't remember ever going into a restaurant or facing a situation where someone was smoking inside of a restaurant or a restaurant bar. And I don't know that I've not seen that it is a problem or has been, and I don't anticipate it with the other laws that are in place. And businesses not allowing smoking. So that's a couple of my, concerns that I have with it.
I'm actually in agreement with you that I'm really not in agreement with this as a whole. To me, this is overregulation. However, I don't want somebody smoking next to me. I don't like being around that, and I don't want to. But what is the option or the possibility of, here, the main part I don't like about this is me telling a business that they can't allow smoking inside your business. You own the business, you're running the business, it's your business. It should be your business whether or not how you run that. And I don't like us as a government entity telling them that they can't have smoking inside their business. Now, when it comes to restaurants, when it comes to streets, sidewalks, parks, those type of places, I'm okay with that because that's much more of a public area where we've got more public people. But I don't want to tell any of these businesses here that they can't have smoking. And I'm guessing most of these businesses, Chief, you can answer this. I'm guessing most of these businesses right now are pretty much regulating themselves. Would that be a true statement?
I believe so. One of the businesses, I don't mind naming it because she doesn't mind, but Petey's up here on Main Street. I remember 3 years ago going in there for lunch and there were people smoking inside still, but it's rare anymore. It just kind of phased itself out, and she doesn't not allow it or allow it. It's just whatever people want to do, and nobody really does it anymore in there. So the other question I would have is, what about employees at all these businesses? I think we need to think about all those employees at those businesses, that there be some type of area that they can go to if they can't, because then that might be an issue with some of the businesses. They might take offense to, hey, well, I have 10 employees that smoke. Where are they going to go?
And I'm wondering right now, if businesses are not allowing them right now, probably most of these businesses have got designated smoking areas, just like you've got in the airports. So I don't have an issue with doing this on streets, sidewalks, parks, those type of places. I just don't want us to be telling the business that they can't allow anybody to smoke inside their business. I think that's overreach on our part. So is this, Eric, I'll ask you, since this is kind of, you put all this together, is it possible to take out the individual businesses out of this and just do streets, sidewalks, parks, that type of
That's a great question.
language?
I'd like to just mention and thank Mike. Mike did a lot of the work on this
Yes,
ordinance.
thank you, Mike.
And he structured it in a manner to where, we could adjust it as council sees fit. It would be easy to remove the indoor prohibition if council decides to, you will not want to allow or proceed with the indoor prohibition and just go with the outdoor. So the ordinance, we went ahead and just put it together for, all areas, just so y'all could have a conversation. And then if you decide to amend it, however, it's easy to amend and we could move forward with it, applying where council sees fit.
Well, first of all, I appreciate the committee putting it together, and Mike too for just thinking about this. We talked about it years ago.
I
Remember
think
we
we
had
have
the
done
smoke-free
this
guys
years
come
ago
forward?
and backed off of it.
Yeah, and I think it was also our concern about telling businesses what to do, which I'm kind of following you a little bit, Grant, on that too. I think when I first read this, I was thinking more of like public places, and so thinking about parks. Yes, we don't want to go to the amphitheater or the gazebo and have 10 people standing there vaping beside you. And maybe restaurants as well. I could see that being a part of this. And so, but I remember when they came and spoke to us, they talked about not only for the business piece, but the employees who worked there, because at that time it was Waffle House, Petey's, and maybe one of the local bars. And so that, well, if you have an employee that works an 8-hour shift, they're inhaling that all day long, which was a good point. But no, I'm kind of following along with you too, maybe thinking about the business piece. I don't necessarily like, you've got 5 employees and us coming in there and telling them what to do or something like that, but thinking more of a public overarching makes kind of more sense to me.
I think we need to be careful with it. I hate being around smokers too. I hate the smoke, but I do have an option to walk away from it, and normally in most instances. So I kind of worried about the overreach part of
But
it.
in a public setting, it's hard to walk away. But at
Yeah.
like a business, you'd be like, well, I
Yeah.
just don't go there anymore.
Just don't go there. But in the
Smoking
park,
is already a rule at our park, right? It's listed.
yeah.
I guess not like the public spaces, though, right? Like the gazebo, it's not really a thing, or if we did like
Yeah,
another little
that's
pocket
correct.
park.
Yeah, so the only part we currently have a rule in place would be Trailblazer. So
Yeah.
it's not regulated currently on the trail, or it's not regulated on any kind of public sidewalks or anything like that in those public spaces.
And thinking about the trail, it's like our linear park.
Would Gateway Park fall into this also, since that's not
Maybe a
would.
county rule, right? Or-
Well, this ordinance would supersede the county rules. If the county's rules allowed it, but our ordinance prohibited smoking in public parks, then our ordinance would apply to Gateway since it's inside the city limits.
I would just add, I think the social pressures are strict enough. Like, we govern ourselves pretty well in this area. I think it's unnecessary. I wouldn't support putting this in place.
Greenville, are they giving a lot of citations or even warnings out, do you know?
Not that I'm aware of, it's almost none.
That's why I'm thinking nowadays, people just don't smoke like they used to. And then also, I would think that people would assume we have an ordinance if there's ordinances in all these other municipalities. And then so that's really just, I don't know if I'm for, again, putting an ordinance on the book just to have an ordinance on the books. And with masks, the other thing I was gonna say is with masks, you had 3 to 5 calls, but masks were required for everybody in every building. Not everybody smokes again. So if you only had 3 to 5 for masks, I would think that smoking would be pretty non-existent.
We would hope so.
I do have
I
a,
mean,
oh, go ahead, I'm
do
sorry.
you have, do you know where there's issues of it or any complaints?
I haven't had any complaints in the 4 years I've been here that I know of. With the exception of maybe some city employees smoking on the city property.
They better not be smoking on the city property.
I'll let them remain nameless.
I would just want to comment, I agree with the business aspect of it. I understand that concept of overreach there. I do think as we're growing and hopefully having more public places and more outdoor things to do, I do think it's important to have that for the outdoor spaces. And I think right now, it's not necessarily society-wise the thing to do, but then we saw the vaping. So who's to say 5 years, there's going to be another concept, who knows what it would be. But, so I do like the idea of having it just in essence of who we are, not to be a smoking area.
Is there any benefit to having a non-smoking ordinance to the city for grants or any financial benefit?
The only benefit, there's no financial benefit that I've been able to determine. I know Mike determined that there was a certification through the state of South Carolina as a smoke-free community that you could apply. If you had the right ordinance, then you could qualify for marketing purposes, kind of like a bike-friendly community type program that the state has. And they have that program that, it would be more of a, marketing type thing, but not for a financial, I'm not aware of any financial grants or anything that we could get.
Just for clarity, so right now, if they're smoking at somebody's job, do you think typically people just go outside if they're smoking? Because I remember working in town and they were smoking, different time period, different generation, but I have asthma and it was very difficult to do work. So if it was allowed in the area or where it could get into the workplace, then some people might be like, well, I can't work here, and that limits potential places they work. So I do believe in businesses deciding what they're doing, but I also think it's important that people who have opportunity to work places and not can't because of that. So that's what I was just wondering.
I can't think of anywhere in the city that does allow it, like privately held businesses. I mean, the one thing too that I think is a little concerning is, like my family and I walk on the trail almost every night, and there's several restaurants where they have designated smoking areas and they're not 20 feet from the trail. And that's not ideal, but then what? I don't know if we're going to ask them to go across the street and like walk into the woods and smoke like they're outside. So it's a little bit of an inconvenience for me because they're 5 feet from the trail, but I don't know.
Okay. Any other comments? I just thought I want to do due diligence because I haven't had an opportunity to discuss this and see what people's viewpoints were and things of that nature. It sounds like some people are saying no and some people are like, we would consider it for outdoor spaces. Is that the consensus I'm hearing? Okay. So, would we be able to make amendments before we even voted to send it on?
If the committee votes to send it forward, y'all could send it forward as is. You could send it forward with a recommendation that we amend, if somebody would like to put forward an amendment, and we would be happy to make that amendment. If the committee wants to recommend an amendment, if you send it forward as is, then council could recommend amendments at first reading or second reading. So I think from a process standpoint, if the committee wants to move it forward, they would vote to move it forward as is or amended. Or if the committee does not want to move it forward for consideration, then y'all would just vote not to move it forward at this time. Or the final option would be that you hold it and allow time for this to breathe a little bit, no pun intended. And we.
You're waiting the whole time to do that.
And we hold it for a month, and we come back to committee at committee. So there's a lot of different options for the committee at this point, and it's flexible. So whatever
Okay.
the committee would like to do as a whole.
So we can hold it, you guys can make changes to it, and then we can discuss it
We'd
again
be
in a
happy
month.
to, yes, and y'all could make those recommendations here if you'd like to as a committee. We go back and adjust it and bring it back to the committee if you're not comfortable moving it forward.
I'm comfortable moving it forward with the amendment that we take out workspaces and keep public spaces, knowing that first reading, people can continue to make updates.
And do you think that we should consider the amount of feet that we're talking about, like almost, like I don't know, if we take out the 20 feet, would that just be discretionary? Like the trail, that's going to be hard to get 20 feet. But in some public spaces, obviously, it's going to be easier. So how would you suggest that wording be?
We could actually get so detailed as to kind of do like a little analysis or study of kind of distances, along the trail, average from businesses and such, and take a look at a reasonable distance. 20 feet came from the model ordinance, so it's not anything based on scientific research. It is basically pulled from a model ordinance that we pulled from the state. So we'd be happy to take a finer grain look at that and see about other distances, or if council wants to make a recommendation of a different distance, then we'd be happy to make that adjustment. So.
However, we cannot put a burden on businesses is ideal.
This reasonable distance, is that legal? Could we legally do that? That was interesting language, Sherry. That's what I'm asking. Do you
The
have
language
to?
of reasonable.
Yes, instead of an actual,
I think that we probably want a more definitive number to kind of help.
yeah.
Yeah, leaving it, I'm sorry, Eric, leaving that subjective like that would be
Be hard for
difficult for enforcement, yeah.
Definitely want to kind of have a.
And now,
Easier for enforcement.
okay, I kind of want to see what business you're talking about, because maybe it really is 20 feet, or unless it really is like right on the trail.
Yeah, it's right on the trail, and it's outside. I mean,
Yeah.
About Whistle Stop.
Whistle
Yeah.
Stop,
Short
topsoil,
fields.
they're all right there.
Yeah.
And they have those areas.
Monkey wrench. Yeah.
I'm I'm more concerned about the grease on the trail than I am the cigarette smokers, honestly.
Wow.
Where are you
I
walking?
mean, maybe.
I guess one other aspect of this that has not been discussed, I'm sure many of you have considered it, is the litter aspect. We do get quite a bit of litter, and I know Philip's familiar with seeing a lot of cigarette butts and such, but,
They
this
don't
is,
go away.
this
Yeah,
is
well,
not
that's
geared
from
towards
cars.
resolving
I'm-
that, but it could be a result of that, hopefully, at least in some public spaces. A lot of those cigarette butts find their way to the trail, or they'll find their way to the river eventually, and I think currently do we have smoking ashtrays along the trail, at least in one spot, don't we? Have them there?
I don't think.
Yeah, we used to have some cigarette ashtrays in one location, but we pulled them, so.
I would like to hold it another month and look at it more closely and with outdoors and see how we can do it in a really good way and not rush it through, as it's not really an issue at the moment, personally.
All right. So, do y'all want to go to the next agenda item?
We just need to, yeah, we would need a motion from one of the committee members to either hold it for a month or move it forward with
Go
amendments.
ahead, Lisa, you
or-
want to make the motion?
I make a motion to hold it for a month and make changes to it and regarding outdoor spaces and revisit next month.
A second.
Or a few months from now? Sounds like that's going to be the case. All right, so the next thing we have on the agenda is animal care. It's an animal service agreement, which I found very interesting. And thank you, everybody. That was a good discussion. I want to know, it says here, it looks like we're partnering with them, and then we have to pay a fee of $100 per animal delivered and impounded to the county, and then $25 for additional holding days. Is this a agreement that we've had previously, or is this new?
This is an update to a current agreement. So
Okay.
we are currently in an agreement with Greenville County to accept our animals. Basically, this is an adjustment to that agreement, with the fees going up. So, you know, just like everything else, they're going up on their fees and sending this to all the municipalities that use them to, we're basically re-up on our agreement with them, to accept our animals. Phil, do you recall what's our current fee?
The current fee is $50 per animal.
So it's basically,
And I think it's $20 a day.
so this was a substantial increase, but it's across the board with all jurisdictions that use their facilities.
Okay, and how many animals do we typically have to send to them?
Thinking in, back to December, I'm thinking it was around.
Okay,
January, there were, January, it looks like there were 13 calls for,
That was,
That was an unusual
yeah, that doesn't happen
event.
too often, but I think on average, it's anywhere from 4 to 6.
and this is just a line item on our budget? Okay.
We would just consider this during budget time to go and put a little bit more money in this line. It's hard to predict, just kind of, you know, how much we're going to need, but we would probably just have to adjust upward a little bit to cover for next year.
And remind me again, is it a one-year contract or longer?
I believe this one is set for 5, is it 4?
I thought it said 1 year.
I'm sorry. I have to go back and
I
find
read it, but I forgot, I didn't write it down. But I'm just wondering if our prices can be locked in for that time frame.
So it's set for 1 year.
Yeah, 1 year, yeah.
Yep, it's set for 1 year, and then it would just be extended 1 year mutually by each party.
Okay.
So we'd have to kind of, and there's no action required by council on this. I just wanted y'all to be aware of what, you know, because as we get closer to budget time, these are things that obviously we all have to be aware of.
Philip, I remember we had the feral cat drama a couple years ago. Do we have any of those anymore, or do we just not
Those
hear as
do.
much about them?
Those do come through on occasion.
Okay.
We're still doing,
Okay.
but it's the same situation. If we drop a cat off down there,
Fees.
it's the same fee.
They just bring them back? They just neuter them and then bring them back in the same spot? Okay.
Call us and we bring them back.
Oh, okay.
Are owners responsible for any payment if they retrieve their animal? Do we get money back from them?
Yes, there is a fee established. We have a fee in the fee schedule.
I don't know what that.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but it goes up if there's repeat offenders.
Okay.
But there's established, a lot of times, you know, these are animals that no owner claims. But yeah, if there's an animal at large and it got out of its enclosure and we hold it for 3 days and a family comes and claims it, then there is a fee associated with that. So
Okay.
there is some revenue coming in on the fee side, but most of the time, these animals don't have anybody claiming ownership.
Just for a point of reference, the budget in December. We have a $1,250 budget. In December, we had spent $400 of that $1,250. So that was 32% of the budget. Which probably then if we had a litter in January, wipe that out.
That number will go up after the puppies, yeah.
Eric, excuse me, if I may, I want to answer that Mr. Floyd had. If we take them to Greenville, then we keep them here a few days first for a retrieval, and then after they go to Greenville, they don't come back here. So that's the kind of the draw. We draw the line in the sand and take them, and that's where we pay that fee, so.
Okay, thanks.
And there's actually, along those lines, excuse me just a second, but I'm going to tell you, along those lines, we've also got animal boarding supplies for us for that very reason that has a line item of $400 in it. And we had actually spent $34 in December.
And we could save some money on this contract. Philip and I are looking into alternatives for weekends. Since the weekends are so expensive, we're gonna get reach out to some local companies and see if we can if there's an injured animal over the weekend, instead of taking it down there, we can take it to a local vet. So that would be the plan for the weekends, to avoid those unnecessary expenses. I think we can probably get a better deal locally, we hope, at least if there's an injured animal that we have to take for treatment.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to close our committee meeting?
I motion.
Second.
Thank you.
Public Works. Next, we'll move into Public Safety. Chair Byers.
Okay. Call to order the public safety meeting for February 6th. Present are myself, Grant Bumgarner, Shanice Chris, and Brantley Vest. Wayne McCall is not here today. Can we have a motion to approve the minutes from January 9th public safety meeting?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, and now to review the January public safety reports. First is building permits. Anything y'all want to highlight?
Nothing addition to what is in the report?
It's fun to see a fresh slate on there.
Sorry, what'd you say?
So it's fun to see a fresh slate
Oh,
on
okay.
on the report. Yeah.
I thought you were mentioning a business or something. I was like, I have
No.
not heard of that, Kelly.
No. Does anyone on the committee have questions about the building permits report? And anyone on council have questions about building permits? Okay. Next is municipal court. We see the report. Anything that you want to highlight?
Additional?
Okay. Any questions from the committee and from council? Okay, moving along. Fire. Yay. Okay, anything you want to highlight for us, Chief?
I just want to let you know, you may see a young guy down at the fire station about every third day. We have entered into a program with the Career Center. Actually, this young man is from Bonds, which is in Greer,
Okay.
and they approached us. He requested to come up here. I've known him since he was about this tall. And he's already done a stint. They call it a co-op. Now, when I was at NRE, I was on co-op also, and I worked during the day and got credit for it. Basically, that's what he's doing also. He will not be going interior to fight fire, even though he is certified. He just passed his Fire 2 class last week. He will graduate in May. So he's doing a stint with us just to, it more prepares him for the workplace, for being a fireman. And he'll do anything down there that the guys do except go interior. That's their rule, not necessarily ours. It doesn't cost us anything but some time. He actually is on their workers' comp through the school district. So it's just a benefit for us to see how he progresses. And once we entered into the program, then we don't have to do that again, and we can accept them from NRE, from Bonds, from any career center. We usually end up having about 10 to 12 students at NRE per semester, per grade, in the fire program. And it's working. It's giving the kids something to look forward to. They didn't have that when I was there. I actually took electrical when I went. But it's great. It's a good opportunity for him, I just want to let y'all know that you might see him around. He looks out of place sometimes.
How old is he?
He's 18, or
Okay.
17,
Okay.
I'm
17.
assuming he's not driving the fire trucks.
No.
You said everything but going inside, so I just wanted to.
Okay, now, I can't, everything inside the fire truck too.
Okay.
No, he's not driving our equipment.
Okay, cool.
He's not. He rides, you know, usually in the back, the back seat. So that they're getting him some seat time, so he gets to see. He started last Friday. And he was excited. He said he done it when he done his stint at another department. I won't even call the department. He said it was almost like they didn't want him there. So they didn't let him do anything. So this is a whole different world to him. So it's working out great. And actually, his daddy is the assistant director at NRE. So if y'all see him, say, hey, his name's Alex.
Okay, that's
Is it
exciting.
like every 3 days, just business hours, or is he spending the night?
Business hours.
Okay.
Yeah, he leaves, well, he's supposed to leave somewhere around 5 o'clock. He was having so much fun Friday, he stayed and ate supper with him.
Oh, wow.
And I think he's staying and eat supper with him tonight too. So he's having a ball.
Good.
That's good training.
Very good.
Recruitment too.
It's hard for me to know, not comparing to last month, but it looks like, and we only did one inspection in January. I feel like that's unusual.
It's probably right. He's been doing some prep work, he's getting ready to kick off the new year. He finished up, you know, in, early December on the year, and he'll revisit them all again this year.
Okay,
So that's probably correct.
all right. Does anyone on the committee have questions for Chief about the fire report? One on council?
I was going to ask you, so there was 92 calls. Is that high or is that kind of normal?
These days, it's kind of normal.
Okay. I thought,
I mean, you know, when I first started, we run 300 calls a year. So, yeah,
I was
it
just
seems high.
I was averaging out per day what that was. That was a lot.
And we're culling some of the medical calls, if it's especially to a facility.
Right.
You know, that we'll still go if the ambulance needs us when they get there, but most of the time it's a transport. Why waste our resources? And I'm not saying the people's not worth, and I'm not saying we're wasted
Right.
that way,
Time.
but this time, yeah.
So are you at full capacity? Are you short any, or, so you're at full capacity?
Still running a lot, but you'll hear that again. I'll be approaching you again.
Okay, great. Thank you, Chief.
No new trucks.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. When are you gonna ask you for a truck? How about personnel?
Apparatus, is that what it's called?
Yeah, apparatus.
Okay, moving on to the police report. Chief Ford, anything you want to highlight for us?
Nothing on the report, but I do have a couple of things I wanted to bring to your attention. The trail comparison, I don't have anything official to show tonight. Everything that I'm getting from around the country regarding
Can I
ordinances.
stop you because I don't think everyone knows what you're talking about.
Okay.
There have been some conversations and interest on enforcing pedestrian behavior on the trail versus enforcing vehicular behavior on the trail. And so Chief has been researching what other municipalities with trails are doing around that.
And basically, so far, no ordinances from any place that I can find that control pedestrian or bicycle behavior on the trail. Rules are there, but no ordinances in place. So there are a few places that are going to call me back still around the country, but I don't have anything on that right now. So,
This may come on the agenda in the future. So.
but I will have a better presentation at some point to show. One trail is in Anchorage, Alaska, I believe. You know, we're calling all over the country and the state to try to find out and make sure.
Great, thank you.
The other thing I had was, I was able to negotiate with some of the capital money this past year with our new radios. I was able to negotiate down a little bit on the price, so we had some money left over in capital. And I talked with Eric about using that for something that I was going to ask for this year in capital, which is a new records management system. And I have that money to do that. I wanted to bring it to your attention to make sure there was no issue with that. If council didn't mind, that way I won't have to ask for it this year. I can go ahead and pay for it out of this budget. So it's about $20,000, but our records management system will go a long way in helping us with accreditation and making it more easy and simpler for us to find those proofs for accreditation. So I did want to bring that. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was we had a vehicle that was wrecked back in October. A patrol vehicle, we finally settled with the insurance company, and they reimbursed us about, I guess, $19,000, somewhere in there. That's not enough to, of course, purchase a new vehicle to replace it and upfit. So with Eric and I talking, we'll just let that stay in, and we'll try to address that maybe this next budget year, maybe replacing that vehicle in addition to whatever we can do. So just wanted to bring those to your attention to make sure there was no issues or questions with that. And I'll certainly do memos and email to you guys so you know what's going on there.
Thank you.
As far as the request for the records management system, if council would like to do that, it would just require one vote of full council, and we would basically just utilize that remainder that we had set aside for the other purpose to go ahead and move forward and purchase the records management. So if that's something council would be interested in doing, we can put it on.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, it's something that you need, and it's going to update what we currently have in place, and we've got the money there. It's a little bit of a surplus, so goes to you thank you for all that you do to keep everything in line.
Well, Greenville County's we've been using their records management system for years, many years. It's about 15 years outdated. They've been working for about 8 years on building a new one. This one's in place. Simpsonville has it, Malden has it. 180 agencies around the state have this same records management system, so I've done some research on it. It would really help us.
Public safety would like to make a motion, we could put it on next week's agenda, if y'all would like to.
I'd like to make a motion to add it to the council meeting agenda for next time.
Second.
And I don't think
Downtown Safety Initiative, go ahead.
I don't think
Go
I
ahead.
have anything else. I'll just answer questions.
Okay, great. Downtown Safety Initiative plan,
Yes.
anything you want to highlight there?
Actually, something come to mind that I'd forgotten about. Northwest Crime Watch meeting was last week, and Captain Kobler goes to that and answers questions along, and Sheriff Hobart Lewis was there. And someone in the crowd brought up the city of Travelers Rest and how using the speed trailer has slowed down some of the speeding. And asked Hobart, Sheriff Lewis, why the county doesn't have something like that. So Sheriff Lewis looked at Captain Kobler, and Captain Kobler said, yeah, we'd be happy to let you borrow it to put it on 276. So there is something, people are paying attention to that on Main Street, so we'd like to bring it.
Good. Anyone on committee have questions about the safety plan?
I'm curious about the Main Street initiative. It looks like that we had 88 stops. Actually, that's not true. 88 speeding violations just on Main Street, according to the report.
Correct.
To me, that seems like an awful lot. Is that an indication that we've got a speeding issue downtown?
I think we still do have a speeding issue downtown. However, when you consider about 15,000 cars per day going through there, and we only got 88 for the month, it's happening a lot. They're easy to find. And with the speed limit dropping from 45 to 35 to 25, those little zones,
Yep.
we're trying to get people to understand you slow down before you get to the sign that says 35. You don't go 45 all the way up, and after you go 35, slow down. So, but I would say there's a little issue there, but we're continuing to address that. So.
Do you think the traffic machine on Main Street is making a difference in this education aspect, on Main Street, just on Main Street?
I do. I've seen cars, I live on Williams Road, and I pull up Williams Road, and when that sign was sitting over there, I can't get out in time because people are slowing down when they're seeing the sign. So I've physically seen it with my own eyes. Now, Eric and I have talked about this coming budget year with some permanent signs there, solar powered. and I have prices on those, and we're looking at those for this year and putting one on North Main and South Main to be permanent with a speed limit sign, and they're set it and forget it. We can also collect data from it, how many cars are coming per day, the speeds, all that, and it all works through a mobile, through an app, so. So we're looking at that too. We've talked about that, and I think we're on board this year trying to get that, so.
Awesome, thank you.
For next month, can you put the month in the report?
Did I miss that?
Like, it doesn't say January anywhere on there.
Oh, I apologize. I will correct that.
Thank you. Okay, anyone on council have questions about the downtown plan?
I just had one or two. Talking about the trail, and I know we're updating our signs for the trail. And I've seen this 3 times. Once was just recently, I think it was last meeting we had here, as I was coming down Main Street. At the gazebo, you can turn left or right. And I've seen cars several times going down the trail versus on the road, and the trail will lead to that parking lot. And then they just took the trail and then jumped into the parking lot and came out. Is there any way we can maybe put an extra sign there? I don't know if it confuses people because it's wider. I mean, it is wider.
There's several treatments we could look at. We could get with Greenville County and see if a bollard would be, if we've had other instances of the same thing happening, signage combined with some sort of barrier, a bollard that would, might be something we could look into, but definitely some signage. And we'd be happy to get with Greenville County and coordinate with them on making sure that that's
I would
addressed.
say it's just been when no one's walking there, and so that probably confuses them about turning there. But I also have seen a car do that same exact thing during an event, Art on the Trail, and there was tents on both sides. So
Yeah.
I think just being wider and being more paved-like versus trail-like, I don't know, it was just a thought.
Definitely looking to get.
They've been
that
small
corrected.
cars, not big cars.
And we had an officer actually witness one, a lady turned on the trail, and he pulled over on the trail, so.
Yeah.
And we've seen it, and the lady was elderly, and we explained to her that, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I agree. Since it's wide, it looks that way sometimes.
Can you mark it, say pedestrian only, like, you know?
There is a small
Flags or-
sign there that
But I
says
meant
no
on the
motor
trail.
vehicles, but
Yeah.
it's not really super visible. People just look past it. So we could,
Not flashing.
But
or
like
Yeah, we
on
could
the
beef up-
trail, like-
yeah, we could beef up the signage, whatever Greenville County will allow physically on the trail,
Okay.
they're gonna make that decision, like if we put it on pavement. Other signs, as long as it's outside the county's right of way, we can put our own sign up. Probably be better if we coordinate on a solution with the county.
If we could put something on the trail itself, then
Yeah.
people would know that they can't turn right down that, but that's gonna be up to Greenville
I don't know
County.
if signs, I mean, that elderly lady, she wasn't gonna notice whatever sign you put up.
On the side, if it's on the
Wouldn't even
side,
know.
she won't see
I mean,
it.
we can put up all the signs we want, but maybe like a giant, like some type of like beautification that says like, you hit this, you're not gonna go anywhere. So
Or even
maybe
two
it's
big
some other-
planters, like the concrete
Yeah,
planters.
planters
one of
are nice.
Make it to where the
Concrete
turn
poles
radius
at
is so
Walmart.
tight you couldn't make it if you had to
Yeah.
turn your
Right.
We had a
vehicle.
truck come down Williams, so it's not just small cars.
Yeah.
That guy was going to work and he was on the wrong road. But yes, planters or
I
something
love
like
the
that would be
planters
cool.
idea.
Yeah.
Or a big concrete pole like Walmart uses.
Now, the
In the
planters
middle, you
across
could
from
put a
Tandem are nice looking. That could be some easy,
Yeah.
beautification piece.
Yeah, just restrict the area movement, so. I know the Greenville County does, they will work with us on whatever solution, but to come up with a solution, but they do have some rules related to kind of, structures in the right-of-way, just for purpose of bikers and everything, so in this particular case, I think the safety outweighs some of these other standard rules, so we'll work with them on an acceptable solution that would be attractive and enhance the safety.
I'm sorry to interrupt. You keep mentioning a plan. Is it in the document or are you just like talking off like you said, Main Street plan?
Oh, the Main Street Safety Initiative Plan?
Yeah,
Downtown-
where-
Or,
where's
sorry,
that?
Downtown Safety Initiative Plan, that's in the,
Yes, the plan is essentially to reduce speeding violations in those areas. That's the plan, whole plan with being
Oh,
on
okay,
foot
okay.
and the speed trailer. That's the goal of the plan.
Okay, I got you. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss something.
I'm sorry, the fire chief just corrected me. That's a report, not a plan.
Okay, all right. It's a little different, isn't it, Chief?
I'll correct that.
Details.
I do have a well, Eric, you mentioned cigarette butts. For violation purposes, there's a fine for throwing cigarette butts out a window, or is it the same thing as if you're walking on the trail and you throw a cigarette butt down? Is it the
Littering is
same?
littering, whether it's out of a
What is
car or
it?
on a person.
Is it like,
Probably 470, no, he knows. 470, 480, somewhere in there is the
that
maximum
could be
fine.
something good to promote. I mean, that's a big deal. And those things, they go in the waterways, they never disintegrate. It's hard for people to pick up when we pick up trash. It could be something to get Beth to work on. That's a big fine. I see people dump out a whole ashtray at a stoplight before. Okay.
Why don't you put your little mayor light on your car and go,
Right? Chief won't give me a badge or a light. He
Hey,
says it's illegal.
I just do what I'm told. I've got badges, so.
I have called Mag before. He's helped me chase him down, so.
Yeah, Matt catches that, stuff coming out of the trucks.
There you
Yeah, Matt catches that debris coming out of those trucks.
Okay. Moving on to the Travelers Rest Police Department report for January. It looks like we're trending well, better than January of 2022 in most cases, so that's good. Does anyone on committee have questions about the report? And anyone on council? Okay, can we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Yeah.
All right, next, Planning and Development Committee, Chair Vest.
All right, call to order the Planning and Development Committee meeting for February. Members present, Grant Baumgardner, Kelly Byers, and Dr. Shanice Chris. Also Wayne McCall on the committee, not present today. Looking for a motion to approve our minutes from January 9.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All right, Mike, I didn't see anything new come on to the report, but anything you want to highlight before we open it up to committee members?
No, sir, nothing new and exciting to add. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah. Anyone on the committee have questions about the planning and development report? Anyone on council? All right, that's it for me, short and sweet. Look for a motion
Thanks for
to
staying late
adjourn.
for us tonight, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
You bet.
Need a motion to close it down.
Motion. Second.
To see us. Okay, Ways and Means Committee, Chair Baumgartner.
All right, call the Ways and Means Committee to order. Rick Floyd, Brantley Vest, Shanice Chris, and Kelly Byers, and myself for that committee. We did not meet on January 9th. We did receive the January financial report before the January 16th council meeting, though. We didn't do any other action. All right, the sewer debt payoff memorandum that Mr. Eric sent out. What that is we can't sell the sewer system having debt. We have alleviated the debt. We are now clear to make that sale, which is now currently in the motion of finalization. Right now, our sewer balance is over 1.7 mil, even after the payoff. This is still going to be, that will be, right around that figure will be what we end up keeping for ourselves once this sale is done. This will still be a restricted fund, so we will not be able just to dip into that just for funsies and spend it on stuff. It will be very restricted on what we're able to do. Eric, any other, have I missed anything?
Nope, you covered it very well.
Anybody have any questions concerning this?
Thank you.
All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Oh, thank you.
Personnel Committee, Chair Floyd.
All right, members present, myself, Grant Baumgardner, Kelly Byers, Shanice Chris, and Brantley Vest. We did not meet in January, in January. So the next thing on the agenda is a citywide holiday review. So the city recently conducted a comparison of observed city holidays, and based on this review, I recommend that the city, or that the committee and council consider adding June 10th, June the 19th, and Veterans Day, November the 11th, as designated paid holidays. And does the committee have any questions about that?
We don't need to vote on this, right? Or we do?
This will require one vote of council. Since we adopted the personnel handbook by resolution, we can make changes to it by resolution. So it'd be one vote, and we could move it forward and have it on next week's agenda.
Anyone on council have any questions?
Eric, thanks for doing this kind of a review. For Juneteenth, are there a lot of other municipalities? Just a handful?
Right now in Greenville, Fountain Inn is doing it, and based on some conversations, other cities are considering it as well. So we would be on the, the front end of it, but it's one of those that everybody's going to end up adding, and Fountain Inn was the first.
That's great. And I didn't realize that we didn't have Veterans Day off, so that's kind of interesting.
That's the
Does
other
it have
thing that
any
we were surprised to see.
financial impact to the city? I mean, I guess I'm assuming salary, or maybe if people have to work time and a half that day or something.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we'll be paying all of our officers to, for that paid day off. So there will be a little bit of impact. However, it's not substantial to the point to where we won't be able to absorb it or budget for it.
You guys better tell everybody how much you love council, that we are going to give you 2 extra holidays. Fireman, go get it. Yeah,
I will say, this has been a conversation, no, Veterans Day, I knew that we did not have Veterans Day, and it was because this came before council years ago for Martin Luther King Jr. birthday. And it was, at that time, it was determined that we would do Martin Luther King birthday and not do Veterans Day, which I think has been a very bad disservice to our veterans. I'm glad to see that we're getting that done now.
I'd like to see us think about, maybe working with Beth too on how we celebrate both these holidays, because, I mean, they're great event opportunities, and like you mentioned, even honoring the vets too, so it's great.
You asked for a motion to send to council.
Motion.
A second.
Second.
Ask for show of hands to see if it moves to full council. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Guess we also need to include as part of like recruitment too. We got extra holidays, so that's nice.
That's true.
All right, old business, we have none. New business, we have none. Miscellaneous matters. Eric, you got any administrative updates for us?
I do. I wanted to bring your attention to the memo I put in the packet about some right-of-way at Tubbs Mountain Extension. That is SCDOT right-of-way, and when we were doing the Poinsett Downtown Master Plan and the Poinsett project, we were looking for properties for public use, for public parking opportunities, and also the idea came up of a greenway system that we could expand. So we were looking along the creek there. As you know, we have one substantial development coming in over off Hemlock and Magnolia Circle that was recently approved by council. That would be a substantial stretch where we can have a greenway along with that development. And then this property, and looking at some of the records and talking to some of the property owners along Poinsett that back up to this, they made me aware of this piece of property that was here. And so doing some research, it ends up that it was SCDOT property right-of-way that was 2.1 acres and 2.06 acres in size. And we inquired about it, and the SCDOT sent us a quick claim deed for it. So basically, they're giving it to the city for public use. If we want to use it for public use, it would be available for us. It would make it would make the properties along Poinsett more developable. I mean, for redevelopment purposes, they would have deeper lots as long as those pieces of property did some public use. So basically, public parking in the back would be a public use. If we ever wanted to do a trail, that would be a public use. And so I just thought it would be a strategic piece. So anyway, no action from council is required. We could accept it just by recording the quitclaim deed, and that's all that would be necessary to be able to have this property.
Right.
I wish Wayne were here, because I'd like to ask him. I don't think, see, this is something that I was aware of from a long time ago. I don't believe this is buildable, though, that it's not, it doesn't have a good base under it for buildability, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it couldn't be built upon, according to the DOT's quitclaim basically states that as long as it's for a public purpose, and that would, for our purposes, we were thinking, public parking could be built on it, I believe, and then some sort of a trail system or greenway linear park system. Those are the two public uses. Obviously, it's not restricted to those, but it couldn't be private development or any kind of building. And those would,
A great opportunity, like if something pops up to add like a pocket park or even connect it to the back end. Now, this is behind the Chicora Alley parking lot, across the street, right?
across the street
Okay,
from
gotcha,
Socorro,
gotcha,
it backs up
Like
to that large
diagonal,
piece of
right?
property. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's several,
Great.
one large landowner there that owns the majority of those lots, so it backs up to that landowner. And they're been in preliminary discussions with the city about what to do when the streetscape improvement's done. And so, I think a lot of the negotiations with people on that side of the road, I think we would be able to now factor in this property into those negotiations as far as landscaping up front, and if we could do some parking in the back that could be public, if those properties ever redeveloped, would be very strategic.
Awesome.
Anybody else on council?
Any other
Anybody,
questions?
Eric, you got anything else?
Yes, I would. I would
Okay,
like to mention a couple of other items. You probably have noticed, we're leaving the lights up on Main Street, and those are lights we had originally purchased for more seasonal, so the bulbs themselves don't have a huge lifespan, but we're told the vendor just to leave those up until they just go out. And then at that point in time, instead of paying them to come and take them out of the trees, we'll just see if we can purchase some more robust permanent lights from Main Street, as opposed to having them take them up and take them down annually for the Christmas. So the white lights in the trees, we told the vendor just to leave them up, since they were very, lively and look nice and not so Christmassy. So I did want to mention that Councilmember McCall did call, and he regretted not being able to be here tonight. Yep. As far as tomorrow, just a reminder, if you need anything for tomorrow, we have our Legislative Action Day in Columbia. If you need anything, any questions, you can see me or Amanda after the meeting. As far as next week, this is that time of year where we do a public hearing, and we have Greenville County Redevelopment Authority come and do a brief presentation on our annual action plan for our redevelopment money. So that'll be next week at our council.
Does our meeting start earlier or
No,
still
we will
starts at
start at 6,
Okay.
yep, and the public hearing will start immediately at 6, once we open the meeting up. I think I mentioned this in an email, but I want to mention it publicly. Clearview Baptist has volunteered 2 fans and labor, and the city's purchasing 2 ceiling fans for installing new fans at the the Farmers Market Pavilion out here. And they were originally scheduled to put those in on Saturday, but they decided to wait and delay that till, I think, one night this week. They're going to come and do that for us. So wanted to thank them. And then real briefly, fundraising for the Trailblazer Park Playground is going very well. I know Mayor Amadon had sent out some personalized letters, and we got great results.
Do we have a sponsorship packet?
We do. Be happy to provide one to you. Yep, we had sent a invitation to several large businesses, and we made the sponsorship packet or donation packet available. And currently, we have $11,500 raised for 2 of the items, $5,000 from Duke Energy and $6,500 from St. Gobain. And so the fundraising is off to a good start. That's all I'd like to mention.
All right, does anybody on council have anything for the good of council? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, thank you very much. Kelly, I'm gonna send that to you right now, because I had it at the top.
Look at you running out.